Crafting an online multiplayer first-person shooter from the ground up is a long and challenging journey. If you are interested in video game development or simply want to try out an early version of my game, you're in the right place. In this video series, I'll discuss the process of creating an online shooter, starting from the prototyping stage to the final game release. Even before the prototyping phase, a game developer must wisely choose the foundational technology on which the game shall be built. They must pick or create a so-called game engine. In the present day, most people tend to utilize pre-made engines like Unity or Unreal Engine for their game development endeavors. However, let us not forget the venerable art of crafting a game engine, my dear friends. With over a century's worth of experience in C++ programming, I have resolved to embark on the journey of conceiving my very own game engine. I will be launching another video series exclusively dedicated to game engine programming, intended for fellow C++ programmers who wish to preserve the craft. In contrast here, I will strive to remain accessible to non-programmers. I will primarily focus on game design and will also present the progress of my game, including the initial playtests. So, let's make an FPS, shall we? Let's discuss planning and strategy for a moment. Deciding to embark on the creation of an FPS game should not be taken lightly, for it is a perilous undertaking. The plan unfolds as follows. Allocate 1 year for engine development and crafting the initial playable prototype. Dedicate another year for private iterations with trusted friends, with the goal of achieving a level of quality suitable for the first public test. Subsequently, work towards cultivating a community and enhancing the product until it reaches a state ready for release. This endeavor requires a resolute succeed or die trying mindset. Well, I've invested nearly 2 years in this endeavor, and the time has come to unveil my project to the public, which is why I'm here today. A wizard on YouTube, who would have thought? In this devlog series, I'll walk you through every step I've taken to arrive at the game previewed in the introduction. Following that, I'll keep pushing the development forward, offering regular public playtests where you can showcase your skills or provide feedback to improve the game. If you'd like to help shape my game and become part of the Fellowship of the Frag, please consider subscribing, my dear friend. Before delving into my first prototype, let me recap my initial year as an indie developer to shed light on the project's inception. My first intent was not to make an FPS. I've given myself 1 year to build an engine and craft various prototypes with the intention of selecting my favorite one to proceed with. The first genre I wanted to delve into was first-person puzzles. Games that I held in high regard included Portal,
Now that you are in control.
The Talos Principle, and The Witness. Initially, I started cloning Portal just for the sheer enjoyment of it. The first year was fantastic, devoid of any pressure. You had the freedom to pursue whatever piqued your interest. Subsequently, I swiftly conceived my first prototype centered around the manipulation of energy. The player was tasked with solving a sequence of puzzles of increasing difficulty, discovering new game mechanics along the way. The concept had the potential to evolve further into a Factorio-style kind of game, emphasizing energy extraction automation, usage of machinery, and more. But then things escalated quickly. The game offered replayability, allowing players to optimize their runs for speed. That's when the idea of incorporating a leaderboard to boost player engagement struck me. I wanted to witness friendly competition among my friends on this small prototype. However, implementing a leaderboard wasn't as straightforward as it might seem. It required a client-server architecture, but I managed to accomplish that. Then, while I was in the midst of it, I thought, why not create a very simple networked game? After all, I had already built the foundation for networking, so it should be relatively straightforward. I began implementing a collaborative painting game where all you needed to synchronize were the player positions and the pixels they wrote. I successfully achieved that. And then, on a whim, I decided to create a robust netcode implementation that could work seamlessly for all my future games. I reasoned that I'd likely develop some multiplayer games down the road, and it's much better to implement this kind of functionality early in a game engine than trying to retrofit it years into development. And just like that, the year vanished into thin air, as if it were a magic trick. Quite ironic for a wizard, isn't it? To be more precise, I had only 1 or 2 months left until my self-imposed deadline for releasing a playable prototype. Now that I had the netcode challenge solved, it felt like a missed opportunity not to venture into the realm of first-person shooters. I casually told myself, let's quickly clone Counter-Strike. And so I did just that. However, it soon dawned on me that there was no real point in releasing a subpar Counter-Strike clone. I thought, let's swiftly inject a new concept into it. Once again, I acted upon my idea, and that's the tale of how my FPS game came into existence. It's time to introduce my game concept. The first idea I wanted to explore is, death makes you stronger. I like it. I think it's a concept worth exploring. Let me tell you why. So my goal is to create a player versus player shooter. A few games that could serve as inspiration include Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Halo, or Quake. My concept, reinterpreted in gaming terms, becomes players level up when they die. While leveling up is well established in role-playing games, it's not commonly found in multiplayer shooters, especially not in short PvP matches like mine. Typically, in RPGs, you level up after gaining XP, often through kills. While this system works well in single-player games, it can create a snowball effect in PvP. Allow me to clarify. Let's consider a scenario where a skilled player faces off against a less experienced player. The skilled player is likely to secure the first kill. If they are leveling up, their advantages will accumulate, such as improved health or increased weapon damage. This leads to an even greater likelihood of them eliminating the weaker player again, allowing them to level up once more, and so the cycle continues. Even a minor skill gap is magnified within this system. I'm not here to deepen these inequalities, so in my game, you'll level up when you die. This approach helps reduce these disparities. The game self-balances, weaker players will die until they catch up others. This little twist can be a game changer. It means that the game can be enjoyable even for newcomers, which is challenging in a skill-based shooter. But you might wonder, what's to stop players from dying on purpose to level up? Well, you'll have a limited number of lives, and the goal is to survive. So the best strategy to win the match is to preserve your lives. Now that we have a concept in place, the next step involves either confirming or refuting its viability through implementation and testing. Even if it turns out to be fundamentally flawed, I'll have successfully crafted an FPS engine, and I possess a plethora of alternative concepts to explore. In the upcoming episode, I'll present the first prototype I developed, along with the playtest that accompanies it. The technical aspects will be discussed in a separate, dedicated video.